Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to be able to do this for our associates in Mexico. We're going to be talking on this particular program, we're going to be talking about why you need dietary supplements, the scientific evidence behind that, because Manatech is the science company. We want to make sure that you lead with scientific evidence. That's one of the first things people are going to ask you. Do I really need a dietary supplement? Well, I'm going to show you the proof that you really should be taking a vitamin mineral supplement every day. In addition to that, we'll talk about one of the products that's a pretty darn good solution to that need for a daily multiple vitamin and mineral product. The product's called NUTRIVERUS. So I'm going to share my screen right now. All righty. So NUTRIVERUS, and of course, Latin is not far off. The Latin language is not far off from Spanish. So I think all of you understand the name already. Nutri for nutrition, and verus, which is Latin for truth. So true nutrition. And one of the big questions, as I mentioned, that you're going to get all the time is, do I need to supplement at all? You need to understand that medical schools all over the planet have been teaching, probably since the very first medical school ever started, that no one really needs supplements. All you have to do is just eat right and you'll be fine. Scientific evidence shows us that this is probably not the case for most of the population. I'm going to offer you some science and some statistics that will back this up. And this is science that your doctor probably is unaware of. And this is important. And that's what education is all about, of course. I like to do a talk that I call The Truth About Health in the 21st Century and Why You Need Nutrition. I'm going to put part of that lecture in the beginning of this particular presentation to help all of you understand that in the 21st century, things have changed. This is not the time of our ancestors. In fact, this isn't even the early 20th century. This is the 21st century. There are now stresses on your health that didn't exist years ago, that didn't exist centuries ago. So for most of the time that our ancestors have been living on this planet, they had completely different stress conditions to their health than what we have today. We know now from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and I use the U.S. agency because the U.S. agency has more chemicals registered with it than any other agency in the world, which is designed for environmental protection. And they have more than 75,000 chemicals registered with them right now, which were created by synthetic chemists since the year 1930. This means that before the year 1930, things were very different in terms of stresses on our health. Now, this particular stress that I'm talking about is primarily about the need for antioxidants. And I'm going to do a completely different presentation for you folks on our product called Ambertose AO, which is our specific antioxidant product. But there are antioxidants that are in NUTRIVERUS that you should be taking on a daily basis as well. So we're going to talk about those during this presentation. So with all of these chemicals on the planet, it's also been discovered by scientists, and they discovered this completely by accident, by the way, and that's not unusual in science. I think a lot of people think that every scientific discovery is a methodical step-by-step thing. Well, that's not always the case. In fact, sometimes discoveries are completely by accident, and the one I'm about to tell you about was completely by accident. So some scientists who were testing chemicals in a lake, they found that when different chemicals that they knew of, registered chemicals that had been deliberately created by industry for various purposes, when these chemicals combined in water, they suddenly formed brand new compounds that no one had ever thought about, that no one had ever wanted to create, but there they were. As they did more exploration on this, and they found, we now have no way of knowing how many chemicals there are on planet Earth, because literally when these synthetics combine in water, so in a lake, in the ocean, in rivers, that they create something brand new. The point is, there are synthetic compounds in our air, in our water, yes, and sometimes in our food. And these synthetic compounds are not good for human health. They don't belong on the planet. They didn't exist before the year 1930, and they get worse every year, which means that as we progress, every year that we progress beyond 1930, the stresses on our immune systems become even more significant. And I'll do a separate presentation for you folks on your product called iStart as well. But back to our point. These chemicals, you might say, perhaps you live in a place in Mexico where it's just so gorgeous. And there are some places in Mexico that are just so unbelievably beautiful. And especially some of the areas in the beaches where, oh man, the water is just gorgeous. Places where people just want to go to. And you say, well, the sky is clear and the water looks beautiful and everything seems beautiful. There can't be any chemicals here. Well, here's the sad part. The majority of these chemicals, which are now known to science, these synthetic chemicals that didn't exist before the year 1930, the majority of these chemicals are so synthetic that the human sensory system has no way to detect what they are or that they are even there. So you can't smell them, you can't see them, you can't taste them, but you are being exposed to them. I'll give you an example of something that should really make a strong point for all of you. Farm pesticides. Farm pesticides are now found at the North Pole and the South Pole. We're talking many thousands of kilometers between the North Pole and farms or the South Pole and farms. Yet these pesticides get to both poles. They get to everywhere on the planet. Why? Because chemicals that won't break down, they are carried in weather systems around the planet and in flowing water around the planet. So there is no possibility that you can be living on planet Earth and not be exposed to these chemicals. You need to be thinking about your nutrition, and you need to be thinking about it in ways that perhaps you never thought about it before. Now, again, I'm going to use some US statistics because the US is the easiest government for us to get complete and accurate statistics from. They spend a great deal of money keeping statistics and doing studies. So, but you know, people are people. It doesn't matter if you live in Mexico, if you live in South Africa, if you live in Japan, it doesn't matter where you live. You have certain basic biological needs as a human being. So although I'm going to give you US statistics because I can confirm these to be accurate, and for me as a scientist, accuracy is an absolute necessity. But your biological needs are the same. Whether you live in Mexico or the United States, you still have the same requirements. So in 1995, the US Department of Agriculture, USDA, spent a great deal of money to do a human blood study to find out if human beings were getting enough antioxidant in their blood to cope with air pollution in 1995 from their diet, just from diet alone, not taking supplements. What they found was that almost no one they tested did have enough. So they made a recommendation, and now countries all over the planet make their own recommendations, usually based on estimates rather than multi-million-dollar studies. And when they make these minimum requirements, they're saying, as the US government said in 1995, you need to eat at least 5, but preferably 7 servings, and a serving would be around 270 grams of solid fruit or vegetable material. Okay, that's rounded off because a US serving is measured differently than a metric serving, but it's roughly 270 grams. So they were saying that you need to do this every day to get enough antioxidant. They found that at the time, the number of people who were doing it was so low that it was quite alarming to the government officials. Now, they've repeated this blood test with human volunteers several times, And they finally quit doing the blood test in 2012. And at that point, they said, you know, we keep seeing the same thing every year, same thing, that our requirements for antioxidants continue to rise because pollution continues to rise. And we're now saying that everyone should have at least 7, but optimally 13 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. That's a crazy number of fruits and vegetables. The average person simply is not going to do that. So then that makes you say, well, maybe I should consider a dietary supplement. Here's a study that was done by 2 medical doctors in the United States. Again, a human blood study. They take human volunteers, and their research question was very simply, do people get enough vitamin? They only tested for vitamin, nothing else. Now, the first thing I told you about was antioxidant nutrients. Although some vitamins are antioxidants, there are a spectrum of antioxidants that are not vitamins. So these are 2 different things we're talking about here. So their question is, do they get enough vitamin every day from diet alone, no supplements, just diet, to cope with the minimum requirements, minimum vitamin requirements daily? Now, medical doctors are taught that if everybody eats right, you don't need supplements. I would imagine that these 2 doctors were both surprised, to say the least, when they found that the majority of their test subjects did not get enough vitamin from diet alone. And they didn't test anyone who took supplements, only diet. And their recommendations, which is quite unusual in a scientific study, this was a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, a highly respected medical journal. And it said most people do not consume an optimal amount of all vitamins by diet alone. It appears prudent for all adults to take vitamin supplements. That's a human blood study. It appears prudent for all adults to take vitamin supplements. Now, why didn't they say children? Because they didn't test children. And in science, you only report what you test. Had they tested children, I am confident they would have come up with the same finding, but this report was about adults, so that's what we'll talk about. Now, here is something from an organization which is called the Council for Responsible Nutrition. And they keep a lot of statistics around the world. And they are a global organization. This is from the US branch. And they say that 75% of Americans take dietary supplements every day. Now, the US government says the American diet is fabulous. It's rich in all the nutrients you need, and all you need is diet. Well, if both of these statements are true, then you would expect that when a government survey was done in the US to find out how many people were not getting enough vitamin, if in fact there were any, you would expect that the number would be incredibly small of the people who didn't get enough nutrition from diet alone. Well, this is a US government study. This US Department of Agriculture report told us that 90% of Americans are getting too little of at least one nutrient, and more than 70% are getting too little of a variety of nutrients from diet alone. Folks, in the 21st century, you need to be thinking about taking a dietary supplement. And as Fletcher and Fairfield said in their blood study, those 2 medical doctors, it appears prudent for all people to take a vitamin supplement daily. Well, then this brings us to the solution. And I like to do my presentations where first I talk about what's the problem, and then I give you a solution. Well, as far as I'm concerned, the solution is Mannatech. Why Mannatech? Mannatech has 3 points that I like to say every time you hear the word Mannatech. I like people to think about these 3 points. First of all, science. Mannatech is science-based. We are the science company. When we have international meetings where there are organizations, global organizations that get together, and they're all our competitors, and they're all friendly meetings, they always say things like, oh, Mannatech, yeah, they're the science company. Oh, Mannatech, they have so much product science, you know, and that's what our competitors say about us, because we really are. We have a state-of-the-art analytical chemistry laboratory, state of the art. The majority of companies in our industry have no laboratories at all of any kind, any size, any type. And we have one that is state of the art. We also have our own onboard quality assurance lab, and that helps us with safety. And in fact, Manitech is extraordinary because we do multiple layers of safety testing, multiple layers, not just the one safety test required by all companies, but we do it again and again. And every Manitech product is safety tested, not one or two here and there. Every Manitech product is safety tested. So science and safety. And then of course, efficacy. What's the point of buying a product if it doesn't work? And efficacy simply means how effective is the product. How do we prove efficacy? We prove it by going back to number one, science. We use scientific study to prove that our products do what we say they do. Science, safety, efficacy. That's Manitech. That's what you need to be thinking about. Every time the word Manitech is said, think science, safety, efficacy. We now have 17 studies posted about our products. Our competitors, almost none of them even have one study. What they do is they'll say things like, well, there's an ingredient in our product which has been scientifically validated. That's very nice, except when you have an ingredient by itself, it may function one way. And when you combine that ingredient with a bunch of other ingredients, it may function in a completely different way. So it's important to test the product itself, as we do at Manitech. And by the way, 13 of our 17 studies are human double-blind placebo controls, and that is the gold standard of science. It doesn't get better than that. We've spent more than $50 million on scientific research. One of our largest competitors, in fact, the company which is currently in the top 5, if I tell you which slot they're in, then I'd be telling you which company they are. So I'll just say a company in the top 5, which is well known in Mexico and throughout the Americas. This company has not spent one penny on scientific research, not a penny. And they've made more than $4.5 billion in sales. Why do we spend so much money on science? Because we're the science company. Because we have to know that our products are safe and effective, that they actually do what we say they do in our claims. So we spend the money. We are the science company. We have, at this time, we have earned more than 140 patents. We have 9 patents pending at this time, and we still have more than 90 patents active. Patents expire in 20 years. So patents are good. And the fact that you can earn a patent on the composition of matter, as an example, in our product called Ambertose, the fact that you can earn a patent like that, that says something very strong about your science. But understand that patents expire in 20 years. So in addition to protect your businesses, and we understand that not everyone is a business builder in Manitech, and we welcome everyone who takes our products. As the Chief Science Officer, I want everyone on the planet to take Manitech products every day, no matter what else you do. But I want you to understand, those of you who are business builders, we protect your business with exclusive agreements, trade secrets, and exclusive technologies that no one else can have. Those don't expire in 20 years, and that means your product cannot be duplicated. All of our products, of course, are gluten-free, which is important to many people these days. And as I mentioned, all of our products are safety tested in multiple layers. And we do not use genetically modified materials of any kind in any of our products. And in some countries, they'll use the term non-GMO. Different countries describe it different ways. So I'm just going to say, because this is being translated, since unfortunately I don't speak Spanish, I wish I did fluently enough to do this for you. But I'm just going to say this in simple terms. We do not use genetically modified DNA materials in any of our products. We've been in business more than 26 years. That's extraordinary because more than 90% of companies in our industry go out of business in less than 4 years. And there you see the patents in front of you right now, where we are at this moment. You think about this. The majority of the companies in our industry don't even have one patent. Some of them have earned one. That one competitor I told you about that has spent no money at all on science and made $4.5 billion in sales, they earned one patent in their history, in their entire history. And we've earned more than 140 and more to come. We are always doing new research and filing for new patents. That will never stop. All right, now that we've established why I would recommend Manitech because of science, safety, and efficacy, let's talk about the solution to our problem that we talked about in the beginning of this presentation. If it's true that all adults should take vitamins every day, and that's what the scientific blood study said, then the solution, we have two products for you in Mexico that you may think about, and this is clearly one of my favorite products for this nutrition solution. The nutrients in this product are made from baker's yeast. Now, every time I say this, there are some people who don't understand what that is. Okay, first of all, baker's yeast is a plant. So this is why this is a plant-based product. Baker's yeast, or also called nutritional yeast, is used to actually cultivate nutrients, vitamins and minerals being cultivated from these nutrients. There are hundreds of types of yeast, not one, hundreds of types. And even though we know that the nutritional yeast will not be a problem for anybody, regardless of their sensitivities, we still go to the extra expense of deactivating the yeast before we extract the nutrients from it. It's a very expensive process, but we do that. And as you probably know, yeast is a common food component, and you will find this in naturally sourced nutrition products that are plant-based. Now, the purpose of NUTRIVERUS was to create Manitech's first global formula. Now, what do I mean by that? A global formula would be a formula that has exactly the same nutritional formula in every country. That's versus having a product name in every country. So we have some products which have to be different because of laws in different countries from one country to another. So although the name is the same, the formula is not. But with NUTRIVERUS, it's global. So the formula that you have in the US is the same that you have in Mexico, and the same you have in Colombia, and the same that you have in Spain, and in Japan, and Korea, and Germany, and the list goes on. It's all the same. It contains some ambertose, which I'll talk about in a moment, some phytonutrients. Phyto is a word derived from an ancient Greek word, which means plant. In science, we use Greek very frequently to describe things. And so phyto, whenever you see that, and I'm not sure how that appears in Spanish, but whenever you see that, what that means is it comes from a plant. And phytonutrients are not vitamins, they're not minerals, they're not amino acids, they're not any of the other categories that you're probably familiar with. They are their own separate category, phytonutrients. Most phytonutrients tend to be antioxidants. But we also have in this product some plant sterols. The plant sterols, however, are not the same as the sterols that are in Plus, because there are many types of plant sterols, which again is a separate category of nutrition, different than vitamins, minerals, amino acids, different than phytonutrients. Plant sterols have different functions. Plant sterols should be consumed by human beings every day, and they work as a type of fuel or food for your body, thinking of your body as a factory complex, I guess would be the best way to say it. This product, one of the first reports we had when we first launched this product, and this was first launched in, 2012, I think. And when we first launched this product in the United States, the reports we were getting from all over the US was, my energy has gone up. This really helped with my energy. One of the reasons is because this material is very easily absorbed into the human system. But another reason is all the B vitamins. B vitamins give you energy. B vitamins make you feel good. And B vitamins are the first, generally speaking, they will be the first victims with stress. The B vitamins tend to get burned up first. One B vitamin, as an example, vitamin B1, that was the first vitamin ever discovered back in 1912. We know that that vitamin has to be present in your blood to make 40 different enzymes. And it's important for your mood and for energy and for stress, and the list goes on. I could do hours on the vitamins. So this is our product, which is a global formula and designed for general nutrition support for the already healthy person. How does this product break down? Well, when we first made this product, here's what we were looking at. We knew that in certain countries we had one type of multivite or another type of multivite, depending on the country, depending on their rules. We wanted to find a way to get the basic Manitech technologies into human beings all over the planet. Now, these include, of course, glyconutrients, or what scientists correctly refer to as glycans. So if you say glyconutrient to a scientist, they probably won't know what you're talking about. But commercially, they're called glyconutrients, scientifically glycans. We wanted to get our glyconutrient technology into people all over the planet. We wanted to get our phytonutrient technology into people all over the planet. Antioxidants, of course, vitamins and minerals naturally. And we wanted to make all of this in a real food base. That's really important to this product as well. That makes it so much different from all of the other products out there. And to deliver these nutrients to you in a standardized form, so that every serving would provide you with the same nutrition. That's very, very important to maintain your health, to make sure that you have standardized nutrition. Among these is our most important product in the world, which is called Manipol. That is our most important ingredient, most important for immune function, most important for a long list of functions. And we wanted to make sure that we got some Manipol into everybody. Now, we knew that globally, not every human being can afford to buy, for instance, what we have in the United States as the typical core 4 products. That gets pretty expensive, and there are some countries where people simply can't afford to do that. We knew that. But we still wanted all these technologies, at least some of these technologies, to go into the bodies of every human being on planet Earth, no matter what their economic status, no matter what country they lived in. So this is why we made NUTRIVERUS. That's what this product is all about. That's why this product is so important. Within the glyconutrient portion of the product is 1.5 grams per serving. There's a scoop in the container, that's your serving. And 1.5 grams of a natural blend of our glycans, or our glyconutrient technologies, including Manipol, and our phytonutrient technologies, similar to what you find in a product that we made many, many years ago, a wonderful product called Phytolo. So these are together per serving, 1.5 grams. Now understand, we would prefer if every human being on the planet was taking at least 2 grams twice daily of our glyconutrient blend by itself. But we know that not everyone in every country can afford to do this because economics vary from country to country. But by making sure that you have 1.5 grams of a blend that is a mixture of both our glyconutrients, as found in ambrotose, and our phytonutrients blended together, that we knew that each person who bought this very economical product was getting a tremendous value for their health from these different nutritional components. It's also important to note that the technologies that we used in this product, NUTRIVERUS, are technologies that have generated more than 50 different patents over Manitech's history. So you've got a lot of patented technologies inside of this product. It's really an amazing product. To make the product even better, we put it in a base of stabilized rice bran. Now, a lot of people don't understand what this is, so I'm going to take a few moments to explain it to you. If you're looking at rice that's just been pulled from a rice paddy, and before anything's been done to it, on the outside of the rice, there is a hull. And of course, the hull is there to protect the kernel of rice inside. So when we say rice, most people think about that white kernel, which is literally polished rice, is what it's really called. And that's what we have in our food. Polished rice has very little nutrition. I mean, really, really small levels of nutrition. The real nutrition in rice is in the part called the bran. Now, as you look at this picture, you see the hull on the outside. Human beings cannot digest the hull. So you either have to soak the rice for a couple of days to soften the hull, or the rice has to be polished, so the hull is removed in processing. The problem with that, of course, is when you remove the hull, you remove the bran. The bran is that brown line that you see on the picture between the hull and the kernel of rice. That brown line represents a tremendous amount of nutrition, the real nutrition in the rice. And in fact, when the first vitamin was discovered in 1912, it was discovered as a result of a study being done by a scientist who was trying to figure out how rich people and the nobility, people with lots of money who could afford to buy polished rice in Thailand back in the early 1900s, the royal family and so on there in Thailand, those people were getting sick, and they were getting sick from a nutritional deficiency. Whereas poor people who couldn't afford to buy polished rice, and they literally harvested their own rice from the rice paddies, and then they soaked the hull in water for a couple of days to soften it so they could chew it. And of course, when they chewed it, they released the nutrition from the bran into their body. So what they found was that the nutrition is in the bran. For years, there was no way to use the bran because it contains essential fatty acids, and essential fatty acids will oxidize and they will go rancid if you don't stabilize them. So some scientists found a way to stabilize the bran using enzymes so that it didn't harm the nutrition of the bran at all. And now rice bran is a new food that we can use. So we use rice bran that's been stabilized with enzymes as the base of this product. And that rice bran contains natural vitamin E, of course. All the nutrients are natural, of course. So vitamin E in its full and complete form. And if you go to a health food store, you might see that they're selling one natural, it's called a tocopherol. And then they'll say, well, this is natural vitamin E. Well, to be accurate, you would say that's one tocopherol of natural vitamin E. It's not actually vitamin E. It's only a portion of vitamin E. When you have vitamin E when it's taken from bran, you now have real, actual, complete vitamin E, which contains 4 tocopherols and 4 smaller molecules, which are called tocotrienols. That's complete vitamin E as it occurs in nature. And that's important to your body because your body was designed for that purpose, to get nutrients from nature. B vitamins, of course, are natural. You have a full spectrum of B vitamins in here. Various plant sterols are in this, and of course, they are different than what we find in Plus. Essential fatty acids are in this as well. Not enough to replace an omega-3 supplement, but it's still nice to have in this product as additional supplementation. Of course, there's protein naturally, and there are trace minerals, which many people are coming up short of trace minerals these days as well. And there are also naturally occurring glyconutrients or glycans in the bran. We take that rice bran and we mix that together to complete our base of the powder, which is why the powder looks green, with an organic fruit and an organic vegetable blend. Again, we don't use any genetically modified materials ever. And these are organic fruits and organic vegetables. So you have strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, tart cherry, pomegranate, cranberry on the fruit side. And on the vegetable side, we have deliberately chosen various vegetables that provide antioxidant phytonutrients, because we know that this is very important to your health in the 21st century. So broccoli and broccoli sprouts as well, and tomato, carrot, spinach, kale. Nutrients, phytonutrients from both of these, they're mixed together with the stabilized rice bran, and that forms the basis, the foundation from which we add all of the other nutrients. So this is a unique delivery system as a powder. And, there are a lot of people who say, well, I prefer capsules, I prefer this, I prefer that. We did this as a powder so that you could do this pretty much any way you want to do it. You can sprinkle a serving of this on your salads. You can sprinkle it in, for instance, you see a picture there of pasta, and you can certainly sprinkle it in your pasta. You can sprinkle it into juice or various juice drinks and mix it up. So you can get the nutrition from NUTRIVERUS in so many different ways. And then, of course, I'm asked frequently, well, who needs NUTRIVERUS? Who should be taking it? The reason I started this particular broadcast talking about the need for nutrition is I wanted all of you to understand, particularly from the vitamin study that I talked about, the blood study that was done on human volunteers, where the doctors said it appears prudent for all adults to take vitamins. This is what they were talking about. Everybody taking vitamins. Now, this is a product which is safe for adults and children. And so who should be using NUTRIVERUS? Well, this is the way I see it. If you eat food, use NUTRIVERUS. If you're a human being, use NUTRIVERUS. I mean, this is really a great way for you to go. Now, it's important for those of you who are doing the crucially important work, as far as I'm concerned. I'm involved in Manatech because we've got the best science and because I want as many human beings on planet Earth as possible to profit in their health by having the best science and technology to support their health in the various areas. Those of you who are out there telling all your friends, your neighbors, telling everybody that you can meet about our nutritional products at Manatech, you're doing a great service to everyone you meet. You are doing a tremendous favor when you talk to somebody about the nutritional benefits of Manatech products, because most of them probably don't know even a tiny fraction of what you've learned in this particular broadcast. So benefits, there's antioxidant support, obviously. There's support for your metabolism. Now, a lot of people have slow metabolisms, and this contributes to weight gain and all kinds of other problems related to that. There are certain nutrients, many of which are found in NUTRIVERUS, that can help to increase your metabolism as well, and energy production. There are prebiotics in this product. A prebiotic is a nutrient that a probiotic wants to eat, and the probiotic eating the prebiotic nutrient then can be healthier and it can multiply better, creating better, healthier colonies of probiotic bacteria in your intestinal tract, which contributes to your health in a long list of ways. And the prebiotic, it's the glycans. And that's a separate scientific study that Manatech has done. We know that this product promotes healthy immune function. There are nutrients here that help to support healthy skin and healthy nails. And there are nutrients in here that help with collagen and connective tissue support and nervous system support. That's mostly the B vitamins and some of the minerals as well. We know that it helps to support growth. So for the kids, this is important stuff. If you want your child to grow to their full physical and mental potential, they need to have the full spectrum of nutrients required by their bodies every day, every year, while they're growing. This product provides cardiovascular support and even support for healthy eyesight. lots and lots of benefits with NUTRIVERUS. It's a standardized product. It's plant sourced. It has tremendous nutrition that can be consumed in a variety of ways. Make it work for you, whatever way that is, whatever you want to do on a food, in a drink, however you want to do it. But folks, understand, in the 21st century, you need to be thinking seriously about supplementing vitamins and minerals. You want to do it with a product that has hard science behind it, a product that we know is safe and effective, and we know this scientifically. And that product for you is NUTRIVERUS. So folks, I hope that you've all profited from learning about this important information. And I urge all of you, I urge you strongly, not just to use NUTRIVERUS yourself, but to talk to as many people as you possibly can. Tell them the facts that you have learned in this broadcast today about human nutrition, about the stresses of the 21st century. Talk to them about the value and the benefits of NUTRIVERUS, and help every human being you can with Manitech technology. That's our mission. It's been a pleasure, folks, and I'll talk with you again very soon. Thank you.